How many Super Shredders is too many Super Shredders is not a question that I ever really expected to have to ask myself, and we are at a point where apparently at least 3 is not enough, or it's going to be enough for some people. I think I've got maybe 1 or 2 more in me, I suppose. But today we're going to be taking a look at the third NECA Super Shredder. So we had the original Super Shredder from, of course, Secret of the Ooze. We had the Shadow Master, and now we've got... well, honestly, I don't know what in the world they're calling this one. This is yet another Secret of the Ooze Super Shredder from NECA Toys. This one is in many ways a tribute to the vintage European variant for Super Shredder. One of the decent number of vintage Playmates Turtles figures that I don't have. He's not easy to get. He's very expensive. And I've only ever seen one in person, I think, 1 time. But this guy is in many ways an homage to that. It's not a direct recreation, just like the Shadow Master wasn't a direct recreation of the regular Super Shredder figure. It's a tribute, an homage, a way to pump out another Shredder. So we've of course got him here in the standard Ultimate style box. For Super Shredder, though, of course, it is a little bit larger. You've got the Secret of the Ooze artwork there on the front. You've got a 30 anniversary call out up there, and then you've got some product shots on the side of the box just showcasing what the figure can do, as well as a spread of shots on the back with accessories and how he moves and all that stuff, similar to what we've seen for the other 2. But of course this is an Ultimate style box, so pop it open. You've got the big product shot there on the inside, and then he's there in all of his very purple pseudo-Euro glory in the window. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our, again, I really don't know what they're calling this thing, our European vintage homage Super Shredder figure. So this guy is, you know, again, just another repaint of Super Shredder. So if you've got the first one, if you've got the Shadow Master, you basically know what's going on here. But he's not exactly the same. There are some differences in terms of deco, obviously. There is a little bit of a difference in terms of parts. And then his cape is entirely different as well. I wasn't aware that he had such an interesting cape going on, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it more here in a minute, but let's go through articulation real quick. See what he does, see how he moves around. You know, for the uninitiated, or if you just need a refresher, he does move really well. Like, I'm really happy with this figure through and through. Obviously, I'm happy with him enough to have bought a third one at this point. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. We've got a head that can look up. He can look down. You do have a little tilt side to side. You do have full rotation there as well. The neck is also articulated, so you can sort of do like a chicken neck thing with him. Arms go out at the shoulders. They, of course, can rotate all the way around, but you do have shoulder armor, so you have to watch that. You've got a double-jointed rotating elbow, so it's that sort of weird NECA joint that they use. It looks really good on this figure, though, honestly. Like, it's because his arms are so thick, I think it sort of just works in his favor. So there's no bicep swivel on him, but you do have swivel there. And then you've got hinge and swivel at the wrists as well. We've got a torso with diaphragm cut, so he's sort of tilts side to side, not too much, and it's not much forward and backward. It's mostly for rotation. He does tilt a little bit at the waist, and you can hear he's kind of tight, but not in the sense that you're going to need heat, or at least I didn't. You can tilt that way. He goes backwards a little bit, and he goes forwards. You can get him to hunch over about that much, which is good. It helps him to loom over the turtles really well. Legs go out about this far. He has the newer style sort of ball socket hips, so it's not the old ratchet system, which is really nice. They kick forward about that far. He's got sort of a diaper thing going on, so it will kind of give as you move it around. Kicks backwards slightly. There is a thigh twist up there. We've got double jointed knees, so go back about that far, and they do rotate at the top of the knee, mostly like a shimmy. I mean, it's not enough to really go all the way around because of the sculpt of the thighs, because he's got these big turbo thighs up here, but they do move well enough. And then you've got rocker. That's really good. That's like a broken ankle, basically. And then you've got really, really good hinges down there as well. So, you know, he is exactly the same in terms of movement, capability, and potential than the first one or the Shadow Master. But if you aren't familiar with him, he does move really nicely. I mean, I've never had a problem posing this guy or playing around with him or getting him into some really menacing poses. He's capable of holding a turtle in the air, so he is really well articulated, nice and tight, but not overly tight, and I've never had any issue with any of them being loose or anything like that, and this guy is also more of the same. Now, as far as the overall look and feel, the aesthetics, This figure is mostly the same figure that we've already gotten, but he does have one new piece, at least one new piece, and then he does have a new cape as well. Again, this guy is in many ways meant to be a European variant homage to the vintage line. So the Euro variant was a fully purple Shredder with purple armor, and he had like a really black helmet. So this is similar. It's not exactly the same. He does sport this new belt, which is very vintage inspired. It does seem to be like it's its own piece in some way. So yeah, if you take the figure apart, you're going to be able to get him apart because it's not attached to the torso, but it looks to be part of the crotch in some way. So, your mileage may vary. I'm not taking this guy apart to find out. But he is really close to that vintage Euro variant. He's not 100% there, but he is really close. I think that they're going for as close as possible without maybe being outright a Euro variant. It's clearly obvious that that's what it is, but maybe leaving some of those details aside just to keep him maybe a little bit more real worldy. His armor is a very lavender shade of purple. It's super metallic, nice and bright and vibrant. I mean, again, it's the same figure that we've gotten, so he is ultra muscular, super big. I mean, the sculpt on this guy is absolutely wild. There's tons of wash all over him. Of course, he's fully painted, but there's tons of wash all in that musculature and then all over the belt. I mean, the silver on the belt really pops. You've got paint that's on the sandals down here, his little feeties down there. And then you've got all these like crazy saw blades all over the shin guards, all over the gauntlets and everything. They're nice and rubbery, so they're not super sharp or going to hurt you or anything. The helmet is pretty sharp, and that's one area where this kind of diverges from the vintage. It's not exactly. This is a little bit more silver. It does have a nice kind of gray kind of overtone to it, but it's not stark black like the vintage figure was. And then on top of that, he of course does have his soft goods cape. So all of the Super Shredders so far have had a cape. The vintage figures didn't have a cape. So that's one area where they're still kind of sticking to the movie look. But this thing is ridiculous. And this might be my favorite cape so far. So it's done up in like this, it's like a two-tone kind of thing. It's like very pink, but it's green also. You can see it shimmer in the light. It's really weird. Like, I was not expecting this at all. I guess I missed this when maybe they were showing the figure off. They just revealed this guy not too long ago. But this cape is something else. It's really wild. I just love it. It looks like he belongs in a club as Vanilla Ice is playing. I know he's not necessarily in that scene, but this is pretty crazy. I dig the material. It's definitely my favorite Super Shredder cape now, just because it's so weird. And it definitely sort of seems like something that might have been on a vintage figure. So it's kind of another thing they're doing to sort of further enhance that guy, because the vintage figure, again, didn't have a cape. But this one does, because it, of course, is supposed to be the movie done up in that color scheme. So I think he looks really good. I'm really happy with the color choices here. He's not 100% a vintage homage, but it's really, really, really close. I mean, it's obvious that that's what they're going for. And again, I like the figure enough at a base level to have bought a second one and now a third one. And this guy is just more of the same. Crazy sculpt, tons and tons of detail, huge. I mean, he's absolutely massive. We'll do some size comparisons in a minute. And then, of course, we'll take a look at him next to the other Super Shredders from NECA. But it's a fun figure. And really, this color scheme is really coming down to me for like the fun factor, because it is so weird and it is kind of goofy. It's goofier at this point than the original and the Shadow Master. So you've got various options now, and I think this one is definitely up there for me in terms of contender for favorite right now, because this cape, this weird color scheme, it's all working for me. Now, as far as comparisons go, we've got our Euro variant in the middle, the recent Shadow Master on the left, and the regular on the right. So that's the original over there. And you can see what is and isn't really different about these guys. The big thing comes through in the color palette, the cape, and then the belt. So the belt is different on this guy. That's the one piece that's truly different outside of the cape. They all have different capes, but this guy has that unique belt, which is very toy inspired. The other two are very movie inspired. This is very toy inspired. So this is how the suit actually looks in terms of just like normal lights. Like, it was purple. It had a lot of weird highlights on it. This is more in line with what the Super Shredder regular figure looked like, but it also, I think, is really meant to be the way that you remember him. I swear to God, this guy was not purple in the movie. He was black. I swear he was. And even though that may not be correct, because, lighting and the low resolution at the time didn't really help us, the suit does look like this, but he's cloaked in shadow in the entire scene. So he really does, in many ways, look like this. So this is like how a lot of people, I think, remember him. And then this, of course, is our Euro variant. So different belt, a very solid purple color scheme, and then the purple metallic armor, which I think looks good. I mean, they all are very, very similar, but very different at the same time. Again, same sculpt through and through, except for that crotch piece, and then they all have the their unique capes. So he's got like the more movie accurate cape. This guy just has a black vinyl cape. It's like a shadowy cape, which plays up the shadow theme. And then this guy has like the rave cape, which I absolutely cannot get enough of. So I'm glad he does have a few little differences between the three shredders, but at the same time, there's a lot that all keeps them very, very much in line with each other. And then as far as size comparisons go, of course, the best idea as far as size goes to the movie Turtles. So we've got our movie Leonardo here, and you can see that Shredder absolutely just, I mean, he just towers over him. He's a massive figure. He's super tall. He's a little extra beefy, so there's a lot of musculature on this guy, but it's really height. I mean, he's absolutely massive. And for a good demonstration of just how tall he is, we've got our Super 7 Bebop, and you know, this guy is no slouch when it comes to overall size. He's still a meatier figure and sort of a girthier figure, but Shredder has like a good inch on him, especially to the top of that helmet. So again, a very, very large figure. Let's move these guys aside. We'll do a few more, non-Turtles related. So here is the Figuarts Goku, my old standby, and he's beyond dwarfed by our Super Shred. And then here's a Plunderling. I mean, you can see that he is beyond diminutive, and then a more normal 112 Hasbro style figure with our classified Snake Eyes. To give you a bit of a cross section as far as different brands, different styles of figures, he's a big boy. That's really what it comes down to. He's absolutely huge, and for like a $30 figure, you are getting a lot of figure here. He scales really, really well among pretty much all Turtle lines, because he should be bigger than just about everybody, and he really is, and then he's going to scale really nicely alongside just about anything else you have when it comes to having some, sort of monstrous, shredder. And then as far as accessories goes, this guy comes with pretty much the same stuff that you would expect to get as far as the Super Shredder goes from NECA. And some of it is themed towards this Euro-inspired colorway. So to start with, we've got some extra hands. He's got 2 fists on him in the box. You get a set of open palm style pose hands. And of course, they're all done up in that nasty, scarred, mutated sort of flesh design. He's got a set of regular style gripping hands. So one of each. And then you get a larger gripping hand that is specifically meant for our mutagen canister. So we get a TGR mutagen canister. And as you can tell, there is something a little bit odd about this. It's not a lighting problem. This is blue. The Euro variant Super Shredder, all of his accessories were like a tealy sort of blue-green color, so that's what this is for. Again, it's all an homage, a tribute in some respects to that variant Playmates figure. So you've got your TGRI mutagen canister here done up in that sort of blue colorway, which I actually really like because it makes this very unique among however many of those I have now. And then we also, of course, get the big staff that Shredder has come with thus far. This is toy inspired, but it's not the same design. So it's a big spear tip at the end, and then you've got these sort of double-bladed weapon at the end, and it also has the similar sort of blue color scheme. So it's slightly like a steel blue almost. Like an ice blue, maybe, if that works. It's not the same sculpt. I wish they maybe would have gone back and given us a more toy-inspired, because the toy has like a spiked ball. This is maybe more in line with like a real-world style weapon. I do like it, and of course it's just a repaint. But I do like the fact that they went back and made sure that it was at least tied in as far as the color scheme goes. So he does come with pretty much all the same stuff you've already got if you have one of these Super Shredders, but the weapon and the mutagen canister are at least changed up enough that they stand out amongst what you may already have. So yeah, this is a solid figure, and that's really what it comes down to. It's a solid figure. He is definitely not a must-have for everybody, and your mileage is going to vary on whether or not you need this guy. Obviously, I felt like I needed this figure. I love this Super Shredder design, and I think NECA absolutely knocked it out of the park on the first one. I was kind of cautious about the second one, but once I got him in hand, there was enough different that I enjoyed it quite a bit. And the same goes for this one. The only thing that I truly wish was different about this figure is that he had a wired cape. It would just elevate this figure so much more, because the cape is probably one of the coolest selling points of this figure, because it's so weird and it's different and the design on it is very unexpected. But I do like the idea that this is another homage, another tribute to, you know, an old toy figure, which I have a lot of nostalgia for, whether or not I ever owned it, because it was kind of like a legendary figure at the time, and still is, because it's super hard to get a hold of. But I think this is a really nice figure. Again, maybe not one you need, but if you need or want 500 Super Shredders, NECA is apparently going to give them to you. So that's going to do it for this look at the European Tribute Super Shredder. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.